Testing, testing. Testing. Annie, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great.
Are you approved yet?
Testing, testing. It doesn't sound very loud. And this is all the way up. Testing, testing. Hello? Hello?
I can hear you really clearly.
Okay, thank you.
Huh?
Hello. Test. Great. Good evening and welcome to the Planning Commission meeting of Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Marlowe.
Present.
Commissioner Connolly. Here. Commissioner Davis.
Here.
Commissioner Kogler. Commissioner Covarrubias.
Here.
Commissioner Christensen.
Here.
Chairperson Neal.
Here.
The record will reflect that Kogler is absent and he notified us he was going to miss the meeting.
Staff introductions, please.
Marcy Reynoso and Ashley Peterson, administrative assistants.
Warren Frace, Community Development Director.
Darren Nash, planner.
Annie Branham, legal counsel on the line.
Dante Pecanino, engineering on the line.
Is that everybody? Great. Now's the time and a dangerous time to be absent from the meeting, but is the election of the 2024 Planning Commissioner Chairperson and Vice Chairperson. And with that, I would like to nominate the Chair Pro Tem Christensen to the Chairperson role. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Chairperson Neal.
Yes.
Commissioner Covarrubias.
Aye.
Commissioner Marlowe.
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly.
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Christensen.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Very nervous aye, by the way. I had to make sure I was going to say that.
So I am no longer the chairperson, so you get to nominate or do the vice chair. So let's do the old switcheroo in the chairs.
First, real quick, I'll say thank you, and I appreciate your trust in me, and I hope that I can follow what a great chairperson job Commissioner Neal has done, and the ones before me as well, Commissioner Davis. So, well, thank you, Darren. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that very much. So I would like to nominate.
Excuse me, I would like the pleasure.
Thank you. Please do.
Would that be all
I didn't know if
right?
I was supposed to, or
Yeah,
someone else was.
I would like to just jump in there. I know, I'm the senior person, I'm getting bossy.
You go right ahead.
I have the pleasure of nominating for our vice chair or chair pro tem, our Commissioner Robert Covarrubias. I'd like to nominate that spot.
Wonderful. Do we have a second for that?
I will second that.
Great. I like this. We can have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Neal?
Aye.
Commissioner Marlowe?
Aye.
Commissioner Connolly?
Aye.
Chairperson Christensen?
Aye.
Commissioner Covarrubias?
Do I have to vote on myself? I do? Well, it's already a majority. Aye.
Okay, motion passes 6-0.
Over.
Great. It's exactly who I expected for a nomination. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that very much. Okay, moving on. At this point, we're going to move into general public comments regarding matters not on the agenda. Do we have anyone out there tonight that has anything that's not on the agenda that they'd like to talk about? Seeing none. Marcy, do we have anybody on the line?
No callers.
Okay, seeing none, we'll close that and move on to the agenda items proposed to be tabled or rescheduled.
There are none.
Seeing none. I'd like to move on to public hearings. The first item on the agenda is the time extension of vesting for the tentative tract map 3149, plan development PD 19-10. Do we have staff presentation?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, this is the request for a time extension for Tract 3149. This is Planning Area 9 of the Olson South Chandler specific plan, the triangular section at the corner of what's now Lene Road and Lene Road is the site that we're speaking of, Planning Area 9. So looking up here, this is Quail Run Mobile Home Park. This is Sherwood Road as it'll come down. What we're talking about is Planning Area 9 here. So this is a request for a 2-year time extension for the tentative map and the development plan. The original approval of this area was with the rest of the planning areas for the Olson South Chandler specific plan. This approval was for 123 residential lots and small single family type lot, alley loaded neighborhood. And this is the original tentative map that was approved at that time. This has already gone through 1 2-year time extension. So originally the specific plan was approved in 2020. They got it to 2 years. And then in 2022, the Planning Commission approved a time extension for 2 more years, which got it to 2024. And this is an application to a request for 2 more years. And this is the development plan was approved at the time in 2020 with the tentative map. So since the last time extension, the STG group is in the process of purchasing this planning area 9. They've provided a development plan that has gone to the Development Review Committee back in June and was approved for consistency with the specific plan. So the tentative map that was originally approved is still the approved tentative map. There are a few minor lot adjustments with this plan. So I think if the Planning Commission and DRC recalls on this project, this is a project that is proposing to have ADUs. So each of these units would have an attached ADU. This is a similar product that they're doing, or a similar accessory dwelling unit with the primary that Planning Area 13 is doing as well. So that was the main topic of discussion at the DRC level. It is consistent with the specific plan. The specific plan did encourage accessory dwelling units. So with the conditions of approval and the entitlement of the specific plan, the DRC was able to approve this STG development plan. So tonight we're looking for the Planning Commission to either approve as proposed for 2 years, or grant a time extension of shorter period of time, or amend or modify these options. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any commissioners have any questions at this time, or would they like to hear from the applicant? No questions. Would the applicant like to make any comments?
Hi, I'm Paul Shannon with Pacifica Commercial Realty here in Paso. We were the original, ended up being one of the owners of this project. And obviously with the Lene Road extension, dedication of roads, it is a small part of a much bigger project. And as fast as we want it to go, STG, I think, is at kind of hopefully the very finish line with the city and getting their final plans all approved. And hopefully they want to break ground quickly. So obviously, we love projects to go quickly, but appreciate you guys understanding or being willing to at least review it. And I think we're close to breaking ground on some more homes, which I think would be great for the city of Paso. So thank you, guys.
Great, thank you. Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant? Seeing none, we'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone that would like to comment from the public on the extension? Seeing none, Marcy, do we have anybody online?
No callers.
Okay, we'll close the public option comment section. Do we have any discussion for commissioners? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'd like to move approval of draft resolution PC 24XXX to grant a 2-year time extension for VTTM vesting tentative map 3149 and development plan 1910 to February 20th, 2026.
I'll second that.
Davis, second. Neal made the motion. Roll call.
Commissioner Neal?
Aye.
Commissioner Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Connolly? Aye. Commissioner Marlowe?
Aye.
Commissioner Covarrubias?
Aye.
Chairperson Christensen?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 2. Detached garage shop at 1764 Union Road. I believe, Katie, we have a presentation.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson Christensen. As you said, this is an accessory structure. It's an oversized accessory structure proposed at 1764 Union Road. So here is a location map. This is a general location map up in the right-hand corner. So Union and Golden Hill, got the new roundabout there. So this is pretty close to that intersection. It's a flag lot. As we zoom into the area, you can see the property is between Walnut Drive and Summit Drive to the east. So Walnut Drive on the west, Summit Drive on the east, and then Union Road there. But it doesn't have street frontage. It is located behind 1762 Union Road. So here's just a quick peek at the project. So here are the elevations. The east facing is kind of the front facing as you drive up to the property. These are the east facing is the elevation you would see. And then the rear elevation is what would face the existing residence. Front facing would be facing that 1762 Union Road, the property to the front. And then the west facing is kind of the rear of the building as it's oriented on the lot. Quick look at the floor plan. The interior space is 30 feet by 40 feet, so a total of 1,200 square feet of interior space. And then there is a carport off to the side, 13 feet wide. It's 520 square feet under that carport. So here are the standards for detached accessory buildings. They are limited in the R1 zoning district to 50% of the size of the primary residence. The residence that's here on this lot is not quite 1,800 square feet, so the maximum size that would be allowed without a special use permit, which is what we're here for tonight, would be 893 square feet. As I said, this is a building that is about the same size as the primary residence, darn close to 100%. The maximum height for a detached accessory structure in the R1 district is 15 feet. The structure that is proposed is 24 feet tall. And then another interpretation that the Planning Commission is asked to make this evening in the R1 zoning district, on a flag lot, the primary building is meant to be 20 feet back from the front property line, and accessory buildings on all lots in the R1 are supposed to be not closer to the front property line than the primary building. The proposed building would be 20 feet from the front property line, so outside of the front setback, but it would be in front of the existing residence. However, it is behind the residence at 1762 Union Road, so it doesn't sit prominently on Union Road, and so staff is recommending that the Planning Commission allow this structure to be where proposed. As you can see, the building does meet all of the other side and rear setbacks and building separation requirements. The building is meant to be, or is required to be, architecturally compatible with the primary building, and that is in terms of materials, colors, and relief treatment for elevations and roofing materials. So here is a look at the site plan. So this is some justification for why staff is recommending the building be allowed within or in front of the primary residence. So here in blue is the existing residence on the site, and then in the orange-yellow color, that is the location of the proposed building. There are two buildings on the property in front of the applicant's property. So on Union Road, you can see this large building, got the arrow in purple. That's the primary residence at 1762. In addition, there's another detached accessory structure on that lot, and that's the green arrow. So there are structures between Union Road and the proposed structure. So even though the accessory structure is closer to Union Road than the primary residence on the same lot, it is not the closest structure to Union Road. Jumping into the site plan, we've already gone over some of the development standards that are proposed, or the development standards and what is proposed for this structure. So as I said, the front setback is 20 feet. The structure is almost 32 feet from the side. Only 3 feet would be required. The building is almost 14 feet from the existing residence, where 10 feet is required. There is a retaining wall proposed to the west of the building, and there is a condition of approval that would require this retaining wall not to exceed 4 feet. They're not showing it taller than 4 feet, but we don't have a lot of technical details on that retaining wall just yet, so we wanted to make sure that that retaining wall doesn't exceed what is allowed. The applicant is showing 5 shade trees along the front property line to screen the building. Staff was recommending that there be additional screening trees to the west, more to the west of the building. There's a very small window of visibility for the site. It's very, very small. Blink and you miss it. The DRC was recommending that instead of planting additional trees, the proposed trees might be spread out slightly different. I'm showing the green circles shown in a slightly different orientation. That would provide screening if that's a concern of the Planning Commission. The draft resolution is drafted so that those trees be spread differently, spread more as is shown here. It's a very minor concern. If we want this building to be screened, this would be the recommendation. So architectural compatibility, the building, the proposed building is supposed to be architecturally compatible with the primary. And so this shows on the left is the existing primary residence and then the proposed building on the right. And so the existing building, the applicant estimates that it's about 18 feet tall. The proposed building is 24 feet tall. And that isn't, at least in part, due to a pretty steeply pitched roof. The roof on the proposed building would be 8 and 12. The pitch would be 8 and 12, whereas I would estimate that the pitch on the existing house is probably about 3 and 12. It might be as much as 4 and 12, but I think it looks closer to 3 and 12. So that does add additional height on the proposed building to go to that 8 and 12 pitch. They are proposing a black shingle roof on the proposed building. As you can see on the left, the existing structure does have a brown shingle roof. The long-term plan of the applicant is to change the roof color on the existing residence to be a black color, but that is a relatively new roof, and so the Planning Commission should be aware that what is being proposed would be roof colors of two different styles, style and color. And so the DRC felt that the architecture was close enough to be considered compatible, and recommends that the building be approved as proposed. So these are just some neighborhood views. This, as I said, this property is a flag lot, so the proposed structure will be tucked away from Union Road and really not too visible from very many off-site vantages. As you can see, Walnut Drive, which is in the background of the image there on the left, and the image on the right is intended to, the yellow arrow shows you the direction that that I was standing when I took the picture. So looking uphill towards Walnut Drive, you can see the houses there that are up several, I don't know, 40, 50 feet higher than the existing residence. And so the proposed structure will be below the houses on Walnut Drive. Similarly, from, actually this looks more towards Union Road, there's a hill that's really going to screen the house to the front of this property from this structure, so not highly visible. And then this is, as you're coming up from Union Road, you can see that the detached accessory structure on the lot to the front of the subject lot will also provide additional screening. And this is the view I thought I was going to see next. So looking towards Summit Drive, which is a more suburban neighborhood to the east, those buildings are also screened by a lot of trees, and they do slope up the hill. So the proposed building is lower than most of the other structures in the area. The footprint is lower. It's a very tall building, but low in elevation on the ground. So the draft resolution does include some conditions of approval. They're all pretty standard. The first kind of substantive condition of approval would be to shield any exterior lights put on the building. As I mentioned, the retaining wall needs to stay less than 4 feet in height. And then that condition number 8 would require those shade trees, and for those to be positioned to the satisfaction of the Director of Community Development. Condition number 9 would require the applicant to remove an existing cargo container that's on the lot. I think a big part of the intent of this building is to bring all of their personal storage into one building, and so I don't think that they have objection to that, but wanted to make sure that cargo container is removed before they take occupancy of the building. Any new utilities need to be put over, any new utility service lines need to be put underground. The building needs to be used for uses that are allowed accessory to a primary residence. No overnight stays are allowed in the building unless a permit is received to convert the building into a guest house or an ADU, and any use of the building would be subject to the noise ordinance. The Planning Commission has to make 4 findings in order to approve this project. The first is that the project is not detrimental to the health, safety, and morals of the neighborhood. Secondly, the project is not injurious or detrimental to the general welfare of the city. Third is the project is not detrimental to the city's efforts to revitalize the downtown. Obviously, this is far from the downtown, so not in conflict with those plans. And finally, the project is compatible with the goals, policies, intent of the zoning ordinance in which it is located, which is the R1 district. Staff is recommending that the Planning Commission find that the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act as a categorical exemption, a Class 3 exemption for the construction of small structures, which does include accessory structures. The Planning Commission has options. The first would be to approve the project by adopting the draft resolution based on findings and subject to the conditions of approval that were previously mentioned. The second would be to modify the draft resolution to make changes to the conditions or any other element of that resolution. The Planning Commission could refer the project back to the Development Review Committee or staff if you feel that additional analysis is needed, or the Planning Commission could deny the project by making findings of denial. Staff is recommending that the draft resolution be adopted to approve the conditional use permit allowing this oversized accessory structure on this flag lot. That does conclude my report, and I welcome your questions.
Thank you, Katie. Do any commissioners have any direct questions of staff this time? We'd like, maybe we want to, does the applicant want to make any comments? Anything you want to?
Okay, my name is Nelson Monroe with NRB Drafting, and first of all, congratulations on these two for their promotion. Hopefully the paycheck goes up as well. Okay.
Wait, what?
And then Katie, thank you very much. That was a fabulous presentation, and I think you pretty much nailed everything that the owners are trying to achieve with this project. And as you can tell by those pictures, they really want to clean up that yard. So this building will definitely take a lot of those utility trailers, personal belongings, and be able to put it inside that building. Again, they've been working on this project for almost 2 years, believe it or not. It started out as an ADU for their son who, unfortunately didn't get approved. We just ran into a lot of roadblocks along the way because of the sewer, because this house actually is on a septic system, and it just didn't work out that way without having to tie into the sewer lateral, caused them a whole bunch of money. So we ended up just, downsizing the project basically to an accessory dwelling, and this was the perfect spot for it, again, because of the location off Union Road, being protected by the structures in front. And then even, I don't know, Katie, can you put the overall site plan back up there? I'm not sure direction-wise. North is up, correct? So I believe all the neighbors to the south then are actually way uphill, and so the view from them is going to be looking down on this building, so they're not going to be, shouldn't have any issues with height as far as that goes. So if that's the only concern, it's, it's going to be a lot lower than a lot of those other structures. And then I think even to the north, there's actually another metal building, a storage building that I think was approved there not too long ago. I'm not sure what year. So again, it's something that has been approved in the past. I don't know what their conditions were, but again, because of their flag lot situation, I think this is the best solution for them. Again, because the area is relatively level. If you go further, if we were to place the house in back of the primary residence, the slope becomes very steep and access to it becomes very challenging. So we're really minimizing the amount of grading with this project. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Do any of the commissioners have any questions of staff or the applicant at this time? I kind of have one. I was noting on one of the slides that there was a sewer, it mentions a sewer expansion lateral, or maybe I don't have that wording correct, towards the behind the house further away. It says sewer easement. Can you explain a little bit more on that? Because
Yeah, when the city allows someone to put in an on-site septic system, they're required to also set aside an area on the property somewhere that would allow it's called a 100% expansion area. So the idea is that if in the future the existing leach field where the effluent goes out and leaches into the ground, if that ever fails, there is an area that's reserved on the property that would allow them to put in a new leach field. So the reason it's on the site plan is that they have worked with our engineering department to make sure that they are not putting this structure on the only remaining place where a replacement leach field could go. And so our engineering department is satisfied there are other areas on the lot on which a replacement leach field could be placed.
Sure, but another reason basically why the building should be where you've worked to locate it is what I'm kind of getting at. Okay, is what I kind of saw it. And one other question, Katie, is the carport included in size requirement? That's more of just curiosity from me.
When we talk about building separations for a carport, you would measure from the exterior of a post, but as to, the area of the building, I think we would just count the interior space. But okay. That carport does certainly add to the sure. size of the overall appearance of the building.
Thank you. And I agree with what you're saying, and I understand that, but at the same time, it's also not as high as the main body. So, but I just wanted to see if that was something standard. And then one last question, as for the retaining wall, obviously without some greater detail, if that ends up being much greater than 4 feet or greater than 4 feet, does that come back to DRC? Does that come back to Planning Commission? How would that have to be handled?
So Dante Pecanino, who is on the line, if we have really specific questions, he did look at that slope and make sure that he felt like a 4 foot, a retaining wall that would meet the 4 feet limit was feasible there. And so we do think it's feasible. If they wanted to exceed 4 feet, the process is not laid out very well in the zoning code today. The DRC has certainly approved other retaining walls that exceed that height. One of the proposed amendments to the zoning code would lay out the process really explicitly, and it would allow the DRC to approve. I think currently the draft reads that the DRC could approve retaining walls 2 feet higher than what would be allowed by the code. It's not in there today, obviously.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that clarification. Having said any of that, does anybody else have any other questions followed up? Not at this time. Okay, we'll thank you for the presentation. We'll move on to public comments. Do we have anyone with public comments? Do we have anybody on the line, Marcy?
No callers.
Okay, closing public comments. Moving on to discussion or motions from fellow planning commissioners.
Chairperson Christensen, I'd like to make a motion. I motion that we approve conditional use permit 22-15 allowing a detached accessory building larger than 50% of the size of the primary residence and taller than 15 feet in height by adopting draft resolution PC 24-XXX based on findings and subject to conditions of approval.
I'll second that.
And Connolly seconds. We have Covarrubias making a motion and Connolly seconding that. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Covarrubias?
Aye.
Commissioner Connolly?
Aye.
Commissioner Marlowe?
Aye.
Commissioner Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Neal?
Aye.
And Chairperson Christensen?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Great. Congratulations. Good luck. All right. Moving on. Do we have any discussion items?
There are none tonight.
Thank you. And moving to the next item on the agenda is the consent calendar. Do we have any discussion on the consent calendar? Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll move approval of the consent calendar development review committee meetings for January 8th, January 22nd, February 5th, and planning commission meeting for February 13th.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Marlowe seconds. Commissioner Marlowe. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Neal?
Aye.
Commissioner Marlowe?
Aye.
Commissioner Connolly?
Aye.
Commissioner Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Covarrubias?
Aye.
Chairperson Christensen?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, other reports. Do we have any other reports?
Paso Robles streetscape report. So, you'll recall that we've been working on the Paso Robles streetscape with the ad hoc committee for a couple years now. The plan that's on the wall over there was reviewed by the city council last week. Commissioner Covarrubias was there to present the item. We got really positive feedback from the city council on the presentation and the potential project. So they want us to continue to move forward with it. That was the question is, do they want to refine it into a final plan since this is still kind of a concept draft? So they did approve that. So we'll be convening a community kind of neighborhood workshop open house probably in April to gather final input from all the stakeholders and property owners on Paso Robles Street. And then with that, we'll go to the Paso Robles City Parks and Rec Committee to review the trail component of the project, then come back to the Planning Commission for final comments, and then turn that into a final report back to City Council. So I would imagine by the end of the summer, we should be back in front of the Commission and Council for kind of final direction on this.
Great, thank you. Commissioners have any follow-up questions?
Just a comment, Chairperson Christensen. I want to thank Warren. Warren did the majority of the presentation. I just introduced it, but Warren did a fantastic job. Great feedback from the city council members. So I just wanted to thank you, Warren, for your
It
input.
really went well. Good team effort, and the commission, put a lot of time and effort into this, and I think everybody, understood and appreciated that.
That's fantastic. Do we have any other reports, housing constraints?
Yeah, so as part of the Housing Constraints and Opportunity Committee, we're looking at the zoning code update. So you reviewed a couple of sections in February, and we'll be bringing that back for further review at your next meeting on, I think it's March 19th, 26th. So look forward to that. We're getting close. We're trying to get through all the different sections so that we can get to a final consolidated draft of the whole document and then move that into the final hearing process. So one more meeting on that, and hopefully we'll be really close after that.
Thank you. How about any development review committee rotations? Any changes to the schedule from any commissioners tonight? Commissioner Connolly.
Thank you. Monday, I might have jury duty, but I'll probably just call in and they'll excuse me or I'll be out in time for it. So I think I can make it, but I got a backup plan.
Okay.
If I don't.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for the heads up.
What date was that?
This next Monday.
Okay. The 18th.
18th.
If this is Commissioner Covarrubias, if something occurs, just call. I'll fill in for you.
I'm available. So
Just let me know.
Great, thank you. Okay, so moving on, let's move into planning commissioners' comments. Do any commissioners have any comments tonight?
I just would like to congratulate Chairperson Christensen and wish him the best of luck. And Chair Pro Tem Covarrubias as well.
Go ahead,
I
Commissioner Davis.
too would like to thank our commissioners for their service and welcome the new leadership. So I'd like to say good job tonight, Katie. Your staff reports are incredible. I really appreciate your reports. And the only thing that on my calendar for our next city council meeting, I am giving a final at Cal Poly and I might be running late. So I'm not sure what the agenda item might be.
Okay.
But if that's okay, I will just join the dais when I can.
I think that would be fine. Any other comments? I would like to say that I appreciate you guys voting me as chair, and I appreciate your trust in me to handle this position. It doesn't come with a light thought to the process. So, and I'm really happy to have Mr. Covarrubias here as pro tem to take over the gavel when I'm not available. So thank you. And Katie, wonderful presentation tonight. As always, all staff, thank you so much. And I hope I can live up to what you guys expect in this position. So thank you. Having no further comments, any staff comments?
Yeah, just a couple updates. You'll recall that we've been talking about a potential rezone to the kind of the west side of the Uptown Town Center specific plan, kind of that Olive Street corridor. So the council did give direction to move forward with that. We've been soliciting proposals for consultants to do that work. We'll be interviewing consultants next week. We expect to go to City Council to award a contract in April, which then will start that process in earnest. So as that begins to go through kind of the review process, we'll be checking in with the Planning Commission on that. You'll obviously be making a recommendation to the City Council in the end on that process as well. So you'll start to hear about that starting in April. Other things going on, the City Council conducted their budget workshop a couple weeks ago. A couple of their priorities that came out of that include additional rental housing and additional affordable housing initiatives. They want to, continue to see increases in housing production, especially in the kind of multifamily zone. So we'll be talking about that more after the budget's approved, I imagine. They're also interested in enhancing trails, especially along the Salinas River corridor, which plays in nicely with the Paso Robles Street corridor plan as well. So I think we'll see some, initiatives there. And then Railroad Street seems like there's a lot of interest in moving the streetscape plan ahead there. So I think those are all kind of positive things that the Planning Commission, has been part of and will be part of moving forward. And that concludes my comments. Anything else? That'll do it for staff.
Great. Thank you so much. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. So moved, seconded, and everybody say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.